Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Yay!
Mr. Devenport, how are you?
What is up?
I don't know why.
Mimosas with Michael.
I don't know why I called you Mr. Devenport. I mean, we are friends.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. It's funny. Mimosas with Michael. This is a cool little snippet, cool little show.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really good. I woke up this morning and it's the last day of the month, which kind of threw me off since it's the 28th. But I still owed one video to a sponsor because I do a certain amount of videos and promotions for different companies a month on Instagram and stuff.
Copy, yeah, I know.
And I had to do one video this morning. I tried to film yesterday, but the video just did not turn out well. So
Ugh.
I woke up, brainstormed. Took me about an hour to film it, like 20 minutes to edit it, and it's up. So go check it out.
I'm going to check it out just because we're friends and I support you.
Heck yeah, I appreciate that.
And with that said, I think I'm going to get the show started. So hello, everybody. This is Michael Colomb with the awesome podcast, Mimosas with Michael. But you know that because you're tuning in. So, and I've been trying to get you on the show for a while, and then you moved away. You moved back to North Carolina.
Yeah.
See, I know what's up.
South Carolina, but pretty close.
Okay, you're just out in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
I'm
up and down between the two.
Okay, so what? So you're out there now. How long are you gonna be out there for? Are you coming back to LA so we can hang out?
I would love to. I'd be down to. It's just that there needs to be enough consistent money to be made for me out there to afford a spot, and a spot out in LA is expensive. So
I know. I live here.
I know I have to have a pretty thick gig to be able to do that long term.
All right, you guys, let's get him a big, thick gig.
Yep, get me a huge gig. Whatever's popping. I mean, I'm not just in South Carolina for those reasons. I have a niece and a nephew here in my family, and
I knew that, yeah.
Yeah, I've always been pretty centralized in my family as far as like my presence has always brought a lot of my family members together that normally wouldn't spend much time together.
Oh, cute. I'm kind of like the same way. I feel like.
Yeah.
We're just those kind of people.
Yeah, our personalities are a little bit inclusive.
Yeah, well, because when we worked together, I feel like we were like that. Although, you were the actor and I was the crew, so we didn't always get to talk. So you spent a lot of the time with the other actors.
Yeah, but I noticed it whenever I first met you. I was because you were the lines guy. You were like always working.
Yeah.
It's not like that. Like with me, I would go in there and do a couple flips, and I have hours of sitting around, and I can just chat with people that are also sitting around.
Yeah.
You were never sitting around. You were always working. So whenever you finally caught a break, I was like, I've never introduced myself to you because you were always busy. So I was like, yo, what's up?
I know. Well, I'm extremely friendly. I think overall, I love people generally. So I love talking to both actors and crew. And I think people are, I don't know if they're surprised by that. I think people are always surprised, like, oh, you're so friendly. And I was just because maybe I'm working and so they don't think I'll be friendly, or they're just like, because I mean, my normal crew job does keep me fairly busy.
Yeah, you're a lot friendlier than people can expect with you having a whole script in front of your face.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm responsible for a lot, so.
Yeah.
But you were so cool, and I dig your energy, and you do tricks and stuff, so I thought that was kind of cool. And then I was like, God, I mean, you're good looking, and you always walked around shirtless, so I was like, what the heck is this guy doing?
Yeah, I live that way. It's funny. I always have, and as I've gotten older and developed a physique, people act differently, and they're like, "Why you do that? You're trying." I'm like, I've always done this, like literally since I was a baby.
I've never treated you differently. I thought you were just a cool guy.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I meant like people. No one's treated me differently like I should be. Like people, I'm saying that people started whenever I'm little. Whenever you're 9, 10, 12 years old or whatever.
They expect it because kids don't like clothes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just want
to. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, humans like real people don't really like clothes because it's like if you're in touch with like who you are, I feel like that you're pretty cool with just like being how you are. Like I'd walk out naked if I could. I wouldn't care.
I think that's true because like usually when I come home from set and I've had like a crazy day, I usually at least change clothes. I'll put on my pajamas or put something different on, like you know. So I totally get that. So I just so you're the first person I've had on the show. I mean, I believe you do some acting, but really you're a gymnast and you. Well, I mean, I'm gonna let you explain what you do. You do.
No, yeah, I'm.
You flip a lot. That much I remember. You just fucking flip all the time.
That's my thing.
I love it.
So I'm a pro tricker with Adrenaline Worldwide. It's based out of San Francisco.
Copy you.
Tricking is a hybrid sport. It's very underground. It's where skateboarding was in the late 80s, early 90s plus social media. It's like where skateboarding was plus social media and technology.
Oh, that's cool, man.
It's one of the most connected communities in the world, in my opinion, because skateboarding blew up really fast, but it wasn't very connected because like people tricking in China know exactly what's going on in America. But back in the day when skateboarding was developing in China and like Russia and like all the other places in the world, they were a little bit disconnected. They kind of grew in their own way in like with while the U.S. did their own thing as well. But with tricking, it's like we're all very connected, and it's like tricking is moving in a very very synonymous direction, and it's really interesting. I want to write a book about it one day.
You should.
It's just a beautiful development of culture. But it's a hybrid sport of martial arts, like extreme martial arts, break dancing, but it's really including all forms of dance. And tumbling, like you see in the Olympics, extreme tumbling, flips, just plus kicks and other ground movement. It's basically the most diverse form of flat ground movement.
Okay, so how long have you been doing that?
I started doing, I did martial arts when I was younger. I'm a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh, shit, okay. So
I developed that whenever I was younger. I think I got my black belt when I was 12.
So stay on your good side.
Mm-hmm. Say again?
I said, so basically I have to stay on your good side.
Yeah, I'm very passive. But I got a black belt when I was younger, and then I did a bunch of sports. Like I did skateboarding for like 8-9 years when I was little, and then I did track, pole vaulting, high jump, ran some hurdles for a while, ultimate frisbee. I wrestled for 3 years. So I was always an athlete.
Yeah.
And then I found parkour and free running when I was in like 9th grade, like 2009.
Okay.
That's another thing cool about me is like I graduated 2012, so I was in 1st grade 2001, 2nd grade 2002, 3rd grade 2003.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's interesting. But so since 2009, I did parkour free running. And then it was like 2010, 2011 where I found tricking. So I'd already been doing parkour and free running for like 2-ish years at that time. I found tricking, and I've been tricking ever since. So it's been since 2010, 2011-ish. So it's been about 9 years that I've been tricking.
Dude, that's so awesome.
Super fun.
I wish I could do it. You make it look so easy.
You can. That's the crazy thing. It's like
no, I'm fat and old now.
But if you started tricking, you wouldn't be. You'd still be old, but...
Wow, okay. I'm cutting that out of the show. Jerk. Well, okay, that's true. Well, I mean, because I think I just drink too many mimosas. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe
you're just creating so much viral mimosa content that you just have to down those.
Well, it's really funny when I tell people I have a podcast called Mimosas with Michael. They're like, I want to do it. Do I get mimosas? And I was like, yeah. You think I would have a podcast? I mean, the only difference with you is I can't have you in studio to have mimosas because you're in South Carolina.
Well, next time I come into LA, I'll definitely stop by.
Dude, I will definitely have mimosas. I can never turn down mimosas, and that's honest truth. What is it?
I said I love mimosas. I'm a fan of drinking, to be honest.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm a total fan of drinking. Why do you think I love meeting people. I love talking to them, and I love drinking. That's why this podcast to me is so much fun.
That's awesome.
And I'm blessed enough to I work in film, and I attend a shit ton of events, and I just know people who know, and I just wherever I go I meet people. So it's like I'm always meeting really awesome people that I can have on the show, which I love. Like when I went to London last year for my birthday, and my friend and I just went out to this random place to grab dinner. They had an open mic. I saw this awesome Italian, young guy, kind of like an Ed Sheeran vibe. Just did some, like, he just got his guitar and started singing, and I was like, damn, that guy, I gotta have him on my show. Which of course is tough because he's actually Italian, so he lives in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here in Los Angeles, so there's literally 9-hour time difference. So it's like, when I would go into the studio at night, it's like 4 a.m. in the morning. So it took us a year to set stuff up, but I finally was just like, I'm doing it. Man, he was so chill. So and that's kind of
cool.
like, yeah, and that's what I liked about you. I mean, you're not a musician, but you're doing something, one that I don't think a lot of people know about. Definitely, I knew nothing about what you did. Of course, we worked on something where you guys were cheerleaders, so you were doing a lot of tumbling and.
Well, that's another thing. I did so I started tricking
the
same time that it was like my junior year, so I didn't have a job and I wanted to go get a job. I went and applied to 12 different positions, and like I went into like a Christian bookstore. I applied to like 4 different restaurants. I applied to just tons of different places, literally just everywhere I was willing to work, and I was like, I want money, I'm down to work wherever. And then the last place that I went to was Lake Murray Gymnastics. I could do like some tumbling in the grass, but I did not think it was any criteria to be validated as coach. And I went in there and I just said like, hey, like I love working with kids. Like if you guys have like smaller programs, I could help out with that.
Oh, nice.
And I tried to sell myself to them, and they're like, you seem like a nice kid. Like we can use the help. Like come in Thursday and we'll train you on how to run the open gym. Like the open gym's like a 3.5-hour period where kids can just like kind of run around. There's no structure really. You just got to make sure nobody dies. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, don't let anybody die.
So I came in that Thursday, and then one of their coaches had called out. So they told me like, hey, can you just like run one of the classes? All you have to do is teach these kids like how to do these specific jumps on trampoline and like cartwheels and stuff. I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. So I was running trampoline the whole day, and then towards the end of the night, the cheerleaders came in, and then I was like, so do you want me to help you out with this? He was like, just try to tumble a little bit with the cheerleaders and see if you could pick up on some things. And he's like, when you get good at tumbling, then you can start coaching like the tumbling.
Oh,
I was
nice.
like, oh, okay. But I never told him that I could tumble. I didn't really think I could tumble. But then I just started tumbling with them because I knew how to do flips, and and then he ended up giving me a job, and I became the head tumbling instructor like very shortly after that. And that's right when I started tricking. So I've had a facility at my disposal to train constantly ever since I started tricking.
That's kind of amazing, man.
Yeah, it's great. And then I was a cheerleader for 2 years at ACX right after that. So we went to compete at Worlds, and we got top 10 both years, and that was the first year that that cheerleading gym ever went to the Worlds competition.
Okay.
So that was cool. My only 2 years of a cheerleading experience, we were ranked top 10 in the world twice. So that was cool.
Dude, that's awesome. So I don't know, because I know you mostly do the active stuff, and I don't think even as friends we've ever talked about this. But have you ever thought about modeling, and then have you ever thought about acting? Only because I kind of know you from set, so I'm wondering if like.
I actually wanted to be an actor for so long. I started doing theater and drama in 6th grade, and I loved it.
I can see that because you're totally drama, so I could see that.
And then I did it in 7th grade and 8th grade and fell in love with it even more. And then 9th grade was just great. And then 10th grade, the teacher that teaches 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, the theater teacher, I hated her. I just did not like her at all. So
I'm going to send her a copy of this episode.
Oh yeah, her name's Miss Seal.
Oh shit! It's like that. He's like, no.
Well, she goes by Dr. Seal, but that's so pretentious. Every time we call her Miss Seal, she'd freak out. So I always make sure I call her Miss Seal.
Oh dang. Okay. Got you.
Anyway, she ended. I don't think she works there anymore. She was towards the end of her whole career. Anyway, I did not like her, so I stopped after that. But I went and I did some local auditions. I did like a 2.5 minute long monologue for one of my auditions once, and I've never really thought to pursue modeling, but since I've started working with brands and stuff, I just get in front of a camera and I hire out a local photographer, and I just get in front of the camera and I just pose up. And if you've looked at my Instagram, I've diversified a lot these past few months, and I've started posting some modeling things on there.
Well, I mean, bro, we follow each other on Instagram. That's what made me think that. And I mean, we're friends anyways. We talk a lot, so I always know what you're up to. But I kind of just followed up just to make sure before we did the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to find out because because of that. Like I do know you were taking more pictures and doing a lot.
Yeah.
And
so if anybody listening to this show, if you guys got any modeling gigs, I'm open to it.
If any of my four listeners know anything, let me know.
Hey, I think it's you know anybody through like 4 people. Like you know somebody that knows anybody.
Oh, bro, yeah, I get told all the time that I know everybody. So I'm like, that's fair, but I probably met them through those 4 people.
Yeah.
I have a lot more listeners than that. I like to be sarcastic.
Yeah.
What you have in good looks and athleticism, I have in charm and humor. So I just like to play up to my strengths.
Yeah, same.
Because rumor has it that I'm old, apparently.
And that's just what you said.
Okay.
I was just helping you verify. I mean, if you're that's how you see yourself, I support you.
Dang. Okay, I see what it is. So what's next for you now?
A lot.
Tell me. I want to know.
I've never had more things because when I went to LA and that's when I met you and I was there for about 5 months. And And working with Boss Cheer was my first time on any set. And that was really cool. That's still my only set. Well, I was on another set with Infinity, the cheerleading brand, to release it. I did that, and it wasn't nearly as big of a production, but it still was a set. But I was there for 5 months, and I was just kind of couch hopping, staying with a couple people, like staying with a friend for like 6 days, whatever, and then staying with another friend, and then going back to that other friend, and staying with another friend, and it was just unstable. I lived out of a suitcase for a year because I was traveling before I stabilized in LA for 5 months, and I continued to travel for another 6-7 months after that.
Yeah, remember you were like always. We were always talking. You're like, I'm on the plane right now. I was like, all right, okay, you do you. But I mean, I love traveling, but it is kind of hard to be unsettled sometimes.
Yeah.
Like even if you're traveling and you have like a home base, it still gives you a sort of foundation. So I can understand that because I travel sometimes. Like I'll be back and forth on jobs.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like traveling I can do endlessly, but the fact that I was traveling with 0 home base, I had 0 places to go back to. That's the thing is like all my belongings that I grew up with, I kept over at a friend's house. If I ever came back home, I would stay at that friend's house, and he's got a big house. He's fine that I have my own room there and stuff, but I still never had my own space. And even now, like I've come back. And I'm staying with my grandparents, which is cool because I've never, they moved here my senior year, so I've never really gotten to spend much time with them. But I'm really close with them. So now I'm able to clock in some family time with them now in their older years, and I get to help them out a lot. So I've got a nice area, a nice place to produce some content here. And I'm stabilized now. So one of the companies, so I'm an entrepreneur as well. I started my first company when I was 18.
Okay. What was that?
I started my first company when I was 15. It was just a landscaping company, but it wasn't legal. Like I didn't have like a business account or anything. Yeah. But what I started my senior year is Tumbling is Life. That's when I was cheerleading, and I noticed that there's a huge untapped demographic with the tumblers. There's a lot of people that love tumbling, but they kind of just put it under the umbrella of cheerleading. But tumbling is its own thing. So I was like, let's start this up. So I started that company. It's a legal LLC based out of South Carolina, and I've been on 2 little mini tours where I went for like 8 days. I think was my first tour, and then the other tour was like 5 days. Okay. And I hit several gyms, and I would just go in there, and I would just coach the kids. I'm a really good coach. I started off coaching as I started off tricking, so I say that my coaching has progressed just much, if not more, than my tricking has.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Just because I've been doing it for 9 years now. I was a special guest at Woodward, and I coached there. Like Woodward's like an elite cheerleading, gymnastics, skateboarding, like sports resort in Pennsylvania, and I've coached there a lot. But Tumbling is Life I started my senior year, and since then I've also started Shapes of Tricking, which is like it's sort of the same concept, but I'm a lot more passionate about tricking than I've ever been for tumbling. Okay. And Shapes, it's like we create the craziest shapes in the air. So I created that company, and I created that almost a little over a year ago. And I went on the Shapes tour this past summer, and it was a 5-week tour where we visited every single weekend was a tricking gathering. And a tricking gathering is like a music festival, but it's just tricking. It's like we go there and we train with our friends that we've been friends with for like eight, 9 years.
I remember you doing that, actually. I feel like I remember you, because you were telling me a lot, and you're posting a lot, like you're traveling. So that's what you were doing.
Yeah, that was the tour.
Oh, how exciting. That's actually really cool, man.
I released a 14-episode vlog-style series.
I remember that.
Tour. So if you guys want to go check that out, it's on my YouTube, and it's 14 episodes. I think if you watch the episodes from beginning to end, it's like 4 hours of, so it's like a long movie if you really watch every episode. But it's awesome. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work.
Okay, well, I will, okay, well, we can also put the links and everything in there, so that way people can, because we'll put your link to your Instagram and stuff. And you're very active on social media. You've always been really good at responding, and which I like.
Yeah, you know. I respond to everybody.
Yeah, that's actually one thing I think I like the most about you is you don't have an ego.
I mean, yeah, I monitor it.
Oh, your ego?
Yeah.
I don't think you have that bad of one, or I don't think we would have been really as good of friends as we are, because I'm not in your community per se. Like, there's no reason why you and I should have talked, but yet we still we talk all the time. So
I don't think I'm better than any single person on this world.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think anybody's better than me, but I feel like everyone has an ego. It's just like I have to constantly, I'm constantly reevaluating, and I feel like whenever someone stops self-evaluating, that's whenever they start getting, they become a result of their circumstances instead of being who they actually want to be. They end up turning into,
I feel like, also, I mean, because I'm a little bit older, but I meet a lot of millennials, and I mean, you're a little bit older than that, but still, a lot of millennials, I feel in some ways are very unaware. They just sort of keep because we're so caught on social media in a sense.
Yeah.
So it's they become so unaware of what's around them.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you're that, is what I'm saying.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. That's a heavy compliment. I think that it's so important to be self-aware, and I credit that to two main things. One, my dad always raised me to question everything, including him. He just taught me to question everything. So my thought process has always been very encouraged. And then whenever I started tricking is the way that I've learned is just by trial and error. I film it, I try it, and then I look back at it, and I film it and try it and look back at it, and I've built the bridge in my head of how to reevaluate and how to teach myself how to progress. So I credit the process of tricking.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Okay.
And I've tried to relay that same process over with who I am as a person and how I want to grow in other aspects of my life. And I try to with my tricking, with the tricking community, they know me as first one of the heaviest content creators in the sport, and then second for being very well rounded. I don't focus. There's some people that focus on one aspect of tricking, but I danced for 2 years. I tumbled professionally with the cheerleading team, and I'm a pro tricker, and I'm a secretary black belt in martial arts. So I have all of the bases that tricking is derived from, and I always try to cultivate each aspect of it.
Yeah.
And as I started getting older, I'm 25 now. And as I started getting older and started realizing that I need to grow intellectually, I need to read more, I need to meditate, I need to take time for myself, I need to continue working out because my body doesn't just do its thing. I have to kind of maintain it.
Yeah, of course,
More so. I'm still only 25, but more so than before. So I've tried to maintain that consistency of being well-rounded that I learned from tricking and bring it to my normal life. So I'm always trying to focus on my weaknesses, and that makes it that it's really easy to keep a really a solidified low ego whenever I'm constantly just evaluating my weaknesses.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. So,
thanks.
Because I meet people every day, and sometimes I'm in front of the camera, sometimes I'm directing, sometimes it's for stuff that I'm writing. Or as most people meet me, it's when I work on the crew. And what I find a lot with crew is people just look, because especially within my job, they're just oh, you're just crew. But it's at the same time, they don't realize that when I leave set, I come home and I have to edit my podcast, and then I'm prepping because my friends and we have this horror channel that we always do stuff. And then I also sold scripts, so I'm having to do rewrites, and so it's just I find that people don't realize that we're not just we do other things.
Yeah.
You kind of have to just stay relevant and active. And, it's if you just did tricking all the time, you might get bored of it. If you just did martial arts all the time, you could get bored with it. But because you
100%.
find that a lot of these things can be sort of, they tie in together.
Yeah, like my videography, really, like I cultivated that, and like that's a different aspect of me. Like if I shattered both of my legs tomorrow, like I'm still very good at creating content. I'm still really creative because I've cultivated that aspect of myself. But it all intertwines.
Yeah, and I think that's important, and I think we get caught up in identifying ourselves as just one specific sort of thing, which is, and I've learned that as I got older, because my entire life I was like, nope, I want to be a writer. And I actually grew up being an actor and a singer. Most people don't know that I can sing. I did a lot of musical theater and stuff growing up, but I identified with that, but really writing was the thing that I wanted most. And so I did that for years. But then as I've gotten older, it's like, and I got into film, I'm like actually really good at directing, because I work in film, and I know a lot about the
process.
Exactly, like the process. So it's like second nature. But then I also love podcasting. Like I literally just love talking to people, and I'm a good interviewer. And so it's like I love that a lot of these things is I go to set and I meet great people, and I have a platform to just sit and have them tell their story.
That's so cool. I can resonate with that really well, because with my job, like, so before I went out to LA, the reason why I was able to afford to go out to LA is because I sold solar panels, like solar panels you put on top of houses, just door to door.
Oh, it's interesting. I wouldn't imagine that with you. See, this is why we talk. The cool things I learn about people.
But you actually could imagine, if you think about it. I love talking to people too, and people from South Carolina are so like, it's really easy to talk to people in South Carolina in comparison to a lot of places, because no one's in a hurry. Then everyone has a social stigma to be polite, because it's Southern hospitality. Everyone feels like they have to be like kind of polite.
Yeah.
So going around, I did door to door for about 2 years, and going around and communicating with all kinds of people, smart people, dumb people, like interesting people, boring people, people that are just bitter at the world, people that are just excited that you came over. Like I'm catching people in their home, in their elements, and they're just completely them. So it's really interesting to get to talk to people like that. And I was talking to this one guy, and this is what you just reminded me of. He's an entrepreneur, and he has an entire, like, his entire garage was full of different tackle stuff, like tackle sets, like fishing poles, all these things. I was like, what do you do? And he was like, what do you mean? Like, what do I do now, or what have I done? And I was like, well, I mean, just tell me what you've done. And I sat there with him. He didn't want solar, but I still love chatting with him. And we talked for like 2 hours, and he said that for 15 years he did this one thing, and then 10 years he did something completely different.
Yeah.
And then he started this one business with his wife, like a traveling business with his wife, for like 20 years. And then now he's been doing this. He owns like a local tackle shop that he just got going because he got a passion for fishing randomly, and he's been doing that for like the past 5 years. And then when I was younger, I always thought, like, okay, like, I'm going to be this, or I'm going to be that, because society raises you to be specialized. Like, it's
crazy. Yeah, that's so true.
And then as I've gotten older, and I think, like, I started Tumbling His Life, and I'm like, okay, Tumbling His Life is who I am. I'm the owner of Tumbling His Life. And then I started getting, like, brands started hitting me up as I've gotten bigger, and I started realizing that now I'm associated with this brand. Like, so to these people associate, this demographic of people associate me with this brand. And then these kind of people, the tumblers, associate me with Tumbling His Life.
Yeah.
And then trickers associate me with adrenaline, because I'm sponsored by Adrenaline. I do adrenaline competitions and battles. But then some trickers think of me as Shapes, because I did the Shapes tour this past summer. So I started realizing that I've been always so fixated on thinking of myself in one aspect, but in reality, there's nothing limiting you from having your name or your brand associated with Instagram. And now I'm partnered with a CBD brand, and I'm partnered with Shapes of Tricking, Tumbling His Life, Adrenaline.
Great. Now I have to get you sponsored with the podcast.
Yeah, and now Michael's with Mimosa. I'll add this to my list of sponsors. Whenever I send a proposal to a company, I have a list of sponsors that I've worked with, and I'll add yours to the list.
Oh, look at that! Yay! More people. Well, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. See, I told you you're a nice guy.
Thanks, bro. You are too, and it's so cool how like open-minded you are. And something that I really like about you and about your podcast is like all your podcasts are for you. Like there's a lot of podcasts that people do, and you could tell that they're trying to appease a certain population, a certain demographic. With you, I was like, okay, so like, what are we talking about with my business? It's all about who you're gauging who's your audience.
Yeah.
If I'm posting a CBD company, you can't get CBD unless you're 18 or older. So I'm not going to put little kid music to it. I'm going to put something that is that works with the demographic that I'm working with. But you're like, we're just going to talk about whatever. I just like talking to people. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, every person that's on the podcast is like, so what do you want to talk about? I was like, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? They're like, oh, like, can you ask, like, sometimes they're like, can we have questions? And I was like, yeah, like I'm doing one, I have another one, and the person's like, can you just send me questions? I was like, yeah, I don't mind, but really it's just like, these are the things I want to talk about. So like, I knew you as a Tumblr and a trickster because we talked about that. But just because I know you, I know that you do all these other things, and I do know that you're branded. But I've learned that, and I do this a lot when I direct too, is that I kind of have an idea of like what needs to get done, so I have a platform. But when I was launching the show, I was like, I really just wanted to be like two friends talking over mimosas, right? So it's like you don't call your friend and be like, okay, so let's go get mimosas. I just want to talk about your tricking. Like, do you know what I'm saying? That's not organic.
Yeah.
And I find that like I've had episodes where people have talked about like serious stuff, and I was like, okay, so this episode's not going to be funny, but it's real, and I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, genuine.
And I want that because it also makes it quasi timeless. So if like 5 years from now, when you are when you're older, but you've grown a lot more, people can look back on it and still hear this, and it's like, I still like. It doesn't, like, we don't talk about like one thing specifically, which we can. I have no problem. But like it's sort of like 5 years from now, your fans can still listen to it and it still feels like they know who you are. And
Yeah.
So
I really like that, and that runs really like parallel to what my brand kind of represents. My Instagram, I take a lot of pride. I have 44.8. I hit point 8 today. So
well, congratulations. I can't even get that much, but it's all good.
No, it's great. You'll get there. It's just consistency. But 44.8 thousand followers I have as of today. And I have friends, I have friends with millions of followers, and I have several friends, dozens of friends with 100,000 plus, a few friends with 300 to 800,000, and it's just like in comparison, I'm like, dang, I got nothing compared to them. But what I'm doing with my following, I feel like I'm making more of a difference than some people with 1 million followers because they're so invested in what they can get out of their followers, and what they can get them to buy and what they can get them to watch and what they can get them to go do. And with me, I'm like, what can I do for you guys? And I'm trying to give back to my following because I don't care if I stay at 44.8 thousand followers for the rest of my life. Yeah. Because 44,000 people listening to me and taking my advice and being inspired by what I do, that's already such a gift. Like that's already so amazing, and I can ride this following right now till I die. I don't care because my platform, I just represent myself as accurately as I can to my following. I don't stand in front of cars that aren't mine and flex. I don't go and take a bunch of pictures with models and make it look like I hang around beautiful women all day. Like I show people on my story, like I'm knocking on doors, I'm selling solar. This is what I do. And if I'm going through a hard time, I tell my following. Like I had I grew up with 3 dogs, and they've passed away. But my 3rd dog, that from whenever I was a kid, passed away 3 days ago.
Yeah, I remember. Yep, I remember posting about that.
Yeah, and I just and I was feeling some type of way about it, and I've had 2 of my dogs. I had to personally go and carry my first dog, my personal dog, to the pound, and we had to put him down and stuff. So I've experienced it really heavily. And then this last dog has been with my grandparents for years now. So there's a little bit of a disassociation with it. So it wasn't as hard, but still is the last one, and I felt some type of way about it, and I knew that this happens, and I know that this happens to people all the time. So I just was like, this is something that I'm just going to express how I feel about the situation and my thought process, and people are going to naturally relate to it because it's relatable and it's something that people go through. So I just went live. It was too personal to post on my story because I get like, thousands of people watching my story, but only a handful of people will go on my live, and it's the people that actually like want to know what I'm really up to.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I just went on there and told them how I was feeling when I was down, and just told them like, this is like, it happens. Like, death is just as natural as life. We just because we don't understand it as well is where we get all bent out of shape about it. But I'm like, it just is what it is, and it's fine. And I had a dozen people reach out to me and said, thank you for that. I haven't handled how I felt about my dog passing, and I didn't even realize that this happens to other people. And it's just so cool that I have this bridge for people to come to me and talk to me and share things with me.
Oh, dude, I think that's important, and I'm glad that you have that. It's interesting because you were saying that about like your audience. The difference is that where you have one, I have 3 different accounts because I keep one separate for the podcast, and then I keep one separate for the horror house because they have different fans. But if you go to my personal page, it's kind of like I cover all of them. It's like, hey, let's say I did podcasting, and so I get that, and I find with my audience is a lot of people I meet every day are people that want to follow their dreams or want to become an actor or work in film, and so I try to, I in a sense like you, I'm like, if something shitty happened in the industry, I try to talk about it because I don't want people to think that every day is a journey, and it's like, you might have one great success one day, and then the next day it's like you have a step back, and then 3 days later you can take 2 steps forward, and then maybe a week later you have 3 steps back, and it's just always like this sort of, it's not a straight line, it's an up a hill.
Yeah.
And I think go ahead. No, I was gonna say, I feel like there's this there's our real life, and this is sort of what you were saying, but there's like our real life, and then there's our social media life, and it's like you could be having the worst day, but it's so easy to take a good picture and be like chilling at the beach, but really you're just there because you want to watch the sunset because you feel lonely, right?
Yeah.
So I like that you can be on the beach and talking about why you're having a bad day because people can relate to that. There's something sort of wonderful and real about that. I love that, and I like.
Thank you. And if you look at any industry, and I love LA for so many reasons, but one of the most beautiful things I love about it is that the people that are real out in LA, the people that know that you're not out there trying to use people, that you're not trying to step on somebody to get where you want to go, and you're just you. I can pick those people out. Like, I'll go to a party and I'll just walk around and start chatting with people, and I could tell you within the first 20 minutes who's actually like real, like who's true to themselves.
Exactly what you said. So true.
Not trying to put on a facade, and I love that because those kind of people that are real, I'll be hanging out with some of my friends, and my friends will be trying to kind of like trying to put themselves in a position where they might get a shout out or do something, and they're just trying to hustle for this following or for like promotion or whatever, and I'm just like, and then the people that I've noticed, like, these people are real, these people are going to see through all the fake stuff.
Yeah.
They see it immediately, and I'm like, I appreciate you, like, you're a real one. And even in the whole rap industry, because I freestyle rap a little bit here and there.
What?
I thought about making music.
Man, that's awesome. That's the first time I've heard about that. That's cool.
Yeah, not many people know about that.
Well, one of these days when you do your album, we'll have to have you rap on the show.
Yeah, I would be down. But the thing I like about it too is the rap game is the same way. If you are rapping about things that you don't actually have, the rap industry will call you out on it. And everyone's just obsessed with being real, being genuine. That's the only way you're ever going to get anywhere in life, is if you can be who you are if you can play the character that you are playing for your whole life. But if you're not being who you truly are, it's a very temporary like state that you can be in. You're gonna become exhausted playing this character. So it's just better to just decide who you are and commit to that.
Well, that's actually a beautiful sentiment, so thank you for sharing that. And this is going to sound strange, but our time is almost up.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Well, I try to talk for 30 minutes. We've been talking a little longer, but when I have cool guests, I just like to let them talk. And you're saying wonderful things, and you and I are a lot alike because we both are very chatty.
Yeah.
But and I know that because you're 3 hours ahead, so you're doing you got to do other things. But just to wrap it up, give me what advice would you say? I know you're still kind of young-ish, and you're growing into like who you are in a sense. But because I do know that you do coach kids. So let's say, what advice would you give to those younger kids behind you, the generation that's coming up? What would you say to them?
It's a heavy question. I would, off the top of my head, what I would tell them is to just self-evaluate constantly.
Love it.
Probably, because you get lost in the sauce if you start playing into the hype that people around you, like if you get famous or whatever, you just get lucky and you get famous, you're going to get lost in it because you don't self-evaluate. You just believe in who everyone tells you that you are. And then at the same time, there's the other end of the spectrum where you grow up in a bad environment of people telling you that you're nothing. And if you don't self-evaluate and come up with your own opinion of yourself, you're going to believe you're going to be the result of your circumstances instead of becoming who you actually want to be. No one is a result of their circumstances unless they let themselves be that. Yeah. So just self-evaluate constantly.
And let me just tell you, that does not change because I fall into that a lot, as you found out earlier. Sometimes you just kind of get into your own head, and then, especially when things are tough, and I have to remind myself of that every day. It's like I might have a shitty day today, but tomorrow's a new day, and I got to approach it like it's a new day.
Exactly. You have to have short-term memory whenever you're on a self-motivating industry. If you're working a 9 to 5, you could turn your brain off and you can just show up when you're supposed to show up and leave when it's time to leave.
Exactly.
But when you're your own boss, you have to have that short-term mindset. Like if you took an L yesterday, you have to wake up fresh.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't realize you were gonna be this cool. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak to us.
Oh yeah, I would love. I love what you represent. It's super cool. I need to go and watch some more of your episodes. I'm really curious as to how the other ones have gone.
Oh, they're good.
I've only watched like half of one.
Shame on you. Well, I mean, because you're watching it on YouTube, but you can also, it's a podcast, so it's also, well, that's how I want to close out the show. I mean, you can find us on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, or on Google Play. We're on Anchor. We're now on Spotify, Lofty Craft TV. I mean, I'm all over the place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome. You just have to. Thanks, man. I mean, look, I as I got older, coming into 2018, I wanted to reinvent myself. I get bored. It's like if things aren't going the way I need them to go, I'll just do something different. So, film was a bit slow, and I was script supervising a lot, but it wasn't until the middle of last year that we started selling scripts. But I did the podcast to sort of like find a new audience. And it's great because now that I bring people to the podcast, I'm also doing my, we do this horror channel, Horror House on YouTube, and like all my audiences are kind of going back and forth. Like, what did Michael do this day? Okay, so this week he did a podcast, and oh my God, his new episode just came out, and so it's kind of like there's so much happening. It's kind of cool. I'm like an older Kardashian. I feel like.
Yeah, you live a very dynamic lifestyle. It's really, and so do I, and I feel like that's why we're able to keep up with each other's pace.
Yeah. Dude, we're gonna put all your links to your social media and everything you're doing. You're a cool cat, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to
thank you
to be on my show.
For having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, it took a while, but sometimes it's just like it has to be organic. Even then, it's just like you're just like I'm available now. Let's do it. So, I was supposed to be going and knocking on doors and selling some solar, but it was raining, so I was like, okay. Well, copy you. It's been raining here a little bit too. Not so much, but today. But with that, I will we'll clink glasses. Clink. I'll have to put a clink there. We should go get real mimosas, man. I would love that too.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd be super excited about what we talk about next. I don't even know. We would just go off, I guess.
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm like one of those people. I'll just sit there for hours talking. I mean, I think that's what people like. It's because it's like I know everybody and I know huge actors and stuff, and it's just but I don't name drop because there's no reason. It's like I like that my reputation precedes itself. It's like, oh, Michael Coulomb. Yeah, he's great. Like I'd prefer that at the end of the day. It's like you're gonna walk away knowing that you were at least recognized and noticed. And I think sometimes you get that one moment to really affect somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And I knew growing up I should be a teacher, but I never wanted to teach in a classroom. So I have learned to become a teacher of life. It's one of the best things about becoming older is that I always have something that people want to learn from. So I spend a lot of time teaching, and I get asked to be on podcasts too, and it's really just like, hey, how did you get your start? I was like, let me tell you how I got my start, and then people are just like, wow, that's the most fascinating story.
That's so cool.
And Go ahead.
I know you were trying to conclude, but
That's okay.
as a coach, because I've been coaching for so long, I've realized that and in sales, the final step of learning something is not just knowing how to do it. It's being able to teach somebody else how to do it and being able to duplicate the process. And that's the final step of learning. So nothing really teaches you anything as deeply as teaching somebody else that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I like to be living testament of that. So
That's
anyway,
awesome.
I'm gonna let you go since
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll hop on the show anytime.
All right. Well, don't tell me, because I will do it, because I'm going to start doing a lot of follow-up episodes. I'm going to start doing what I call quarter episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do like just little 10-minute, 15-minute follow-ups of just people like I usually do it in the studio. I usually have guests in the studio, and then I'll also have phone calls. And then when I'm running around town, like with you, like I can just get on the phone and do it. Nowadays, it's so easy. I record it on my phone, pop it up, put the intro in, we're good. But with now that I'm using this specific platform with Anchor, they have this great app, and I could literally just put my phone in front of people and just be like, who are you? And for 5 minutes, they'll just tell me their life. I'm like, great, put it up. I love that. It's so great. It's just like, instead of having to like spend time trying to put together a little episode, because I attend conventions and I'm on set all the time. I meet people every day, and I'm always like impressed by half the people I meet. So I'm like, I gotta get these people out there.
Yeah.
Plus, I have to create content for my audience, so it's it's like a win-win situation.
Yeah, you're giving people a platform to just tell them about themselves and be recognized. It's beautiful.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
All right, Michael. Well, thank you.
Wow, my pleasure, man. It really was a pleasure talking with you, and I wish you all the best. And I know this is just the beginning. I'm really excited about seeing where you go, and I'm glad that I get to be your friend and part of this journey with you, man.
Yeah, and likewise, I already have so much pride for all things you've accomplished as if I was a part of it.
Oh, dude, you're making me blush. This is a good time to go now.
All right, brother.
Because I don't have any. Yeah, you too, man. Take care, okay?
Yeah, I'll see you on social.
Definitely. Take care. All right. Bye.